Welcome back to another explainer. Today, we are completely flipping the script on how we view the human body. We're going to toss out those traditional textbook diagrams of bones and muscles for a second, because we're about to explore a hidden, highly advanced system that literally connects every single part of you. So think about this. For centuries, modern medicine basically treated connective tissue as, well, mere biological wrapping paper. Just the inert, boring stuff you had to cut through to get to the important organs. But emerging science is showing us that this tissue, called fascia, is actually a highly intelligent bioelectric battery. It's a massive sensory and communication network that operates on a literal quantum level. Section 1. Anatomy of the living web. Let's get a handle on what this incredible physical matrix actually looks like. On a macroscopic level, your fascia is a continuous, three-dimensional, fluid-rich web. It runs flawlessly from the very top of your head all the way down to the tips of your toes, covering your organs, your muscles, and your nerves. But when you zoom way in to the microscopic level, you find these incredibly intricate, layered, fibrous structures. And because there is no start or finish to this web, tugging on just one part of it can have mechanical and, as we'll see, electrical consequences for your entire body. It's almost like a giant spider web. Touch one corner and the whole thing vibrates. This living fabric makes up roughly 20% of your body weight. That is a fifth of your entire body. It's highly adaptable, made up primarily of type 1 collagen fibers, which give it this incredible tensile strength. Now, these fibers are embedded in a viscous, gel-like fluid called ground substance, which is rich in a molecule called hyaluronan. What's fascinating here is that this organizes water molecules into what biophysicists actually call structured water. And this specific architectural makeup is exactly what allows fascia to behave less like simple biological tissue and way more like a piece of advanced technology. Moving on to Section 2, the quantum fascial battery. This is where biology completely collides with quantum physics. Okay, so here is the absolute game changer. Your physical movement literally creates electricity within your connective tissue. Fascia is piezoelectric. Think about a quartz crystal inside a watch. It generates a tiny electrical pulse whenever it's squeezed. Well, the collagen fibers in your fascia do the exact same thing. They generate a flow of bioelectrons every single time you stretch, twist, or honestly, even just take a breath. You can actually picture your body like a giant flashlight. Your muscles are stacked up one on top of the other, kind of acting like the power pack. The fascia wrapping around them serves as the wiring system, a true biological semiconductor. The collagen fibers act as the conductive wire, shooting electrons around at the speed of light, while that fluid ground substance we talked about acts as the reservoir. It is an unbelievably efficient way to route energy exactly where your cells and organs need it. But here's where things can go awry. Chronic mechanical load or stress actually builds a steady-state electrical field in your body. When your fascia gets dense from stress or maybe just a lack of movement, that hyaluronic acid thickens up, so you end up with alternating layers of conductive collagen and this insulating thickened acid. And guess what? This functions exactly like a multi-layer ceramic capacitor. It literally stores physical electrical charge. Your tissue is literally holding on to undissipated electrical energy. If we zoom in even further, I'm talking right down to the quantum level now, we find the cellular skeleton cytoskeleton. This features these tiny fluid-filled microtubules. Researchers have found that this network acts exactly like a micro-myofascial system inside every single individual cell, and it stays continuously connected to the larger fascial web outside the cell. Through an amazing phenomenon known as quantum superradiance, these microtubules transform just chaotic, random energy into coherent particles of light called biophotons. Seriously, let that sink in for a second. This means your fascia isn't just structural padding at all. It's a liquid crystalline matrix constantly receiving and transmitting quantum information via actual light. It forms a complete holographic communication network across your whole mind-body complex. Which brings us to Section 3. Nervous and endocrine connections. If the fascia is this high-speed, light-based highway, how does it talk to the systems we already know about, like our nerves and hormones? Well, there is a stark difference in speed here. The traditional nervous system relies on nerves and localized chemical signaling. But the fascial system? It uses liquid pathways, biophotons, and electrical gradients. And because it operates essentially at the speed of light, studies are suggesting that information communicates 3 to 10 times faster through your fascia than through normal cellular pathways.
The breakdown is just absolutely staggering. Fascia actually makes up almost 70% of your nervous system. 70%! It houses over 250 million nerve endings. So without a doubt, it is your body's primary sensory organ. It entirely regulates your exteroception, how you sense the outside world, and your interoception, which is how you perceive your own internal bodily states.
And it's not just electrical signals either. It's a massive biochemical distributor. This bioelectric web actively acts as a conduit for the hormones and neurotransmitters that govern our moods and our metabolism. We're talking everything from adrenaline and insulin to serotonin and dopamine. It even utilizes these highly unique pathways called Bonghand ducts, carrying information completely independently of the blood and lymphatic systems, and plugging directly into your autonomic nervous system. Section 4. The emotional archive. This deep integration brings us to a really profound realization about how our physical structure interacts with our psychology. The fascial matrix serves as a biological record of psychological trauma. This is a massive shift in psychiatry and physical therapy. Emotional trauma isn't just in your head, folks. Because fascia is so inextricably linked to your nervous system and metabolic functions, trauma is quite literally encoded and physically stored right within the densified connective tissues of your body. The issues are literally in your tissues.
So when you experience chronic emotional distress, your fascial battery basically short circuits. The tissue physically stiffens up and densifies, a state researchers actually call fascial hypervigilance. This physical stiffness completely impairs your autonomic nervous system. It traps you in a fight or flight state and starts sending distorted signals or interoceptive noise back up to your brain, which, of course, just fuels even more anxiety. We can literally map the architecture of emotion right onto the body. Early shame might mechanically lock the fascia into a collapsed chest. Suppressed rage, that might densify the fascia all around the jaw. Trauma survivors will often exhibit permanently raised shoulders. And these aren't just bad posture habits, they're actual fascial adhesions locking the individual into dysregulation. This is exactly why a simple stretch during a yoga class or a really deep massage can trigger a sudden intense emotional release. You are mechanically unblocking that stored emotional data and allowing the electrical charge to finally dissipate. Finally, Section 5, how to recharge your fascia. Since our fascia is a living, emotional battery that can totally become drained, how do we fix it? Well, here is how you build that into an actionable daily routine. By applying these biologically backed steps, you can manually shift that fascial ground substance from a blocked, stiff solid back into a fluid, highly conductive gel. Mindful movement, like Tai Chi, generates that vital piezoelectric charge we talked about. Hydration ensures the electrons actually have a medium to flow through. Grounding, literally just walking barefoot outside, allows you to absorb electrons directly from the earth. And manual therapies provide the sustained pressure needed to physically melt those stubborn fascial adhesions. Ultimately, realigning this biological semiconductor is the absolute key to optimizing not just your physical musculoskeletal coordination, but your deep psychological resilience. When the electrical and light-based communication in your body flows without resistance, your cellular repair mechanisms fire up, your nervous system calms down, and your entire biological system stabilizes. We are not just mechanical machines made of levers and pulleys. We are bioelectric, light-transmitting beings woven together by an incredibly intelligent living matrix. Remember, every single movement you make is a literal spark of electricity. So how will you tend to your living matrix today? Keep that energy flowing, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.